All right, welcome back to the We're Not From Hollywood podcast. I'm Brandon Reines.
I am Faizel John, and today we have producer, actor, so many other things. Griffin Cork, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, gents. It's good to be here.
Griffin is a very hard guy to get his schedule to coordinate. He's so busy working on so many projects that even trying to carve a half hour out of his schedule is
How dare you out me on the podcast, Brandon? How dare you?
that's a compliment. You're doing a lot of amazing things and a very busy guy. So, well, what exactly are you working on now?
Trying to, yeah, I don't know. I think part of the gig is also making it look like you're busy, so it looks like you're in
Oh,
demand, so
I
it looks
see. So
like
it's
you're
a,
a
it's a
hot
facade.
commodity.
It's a
You
I
gotta
didn't
facade.
hype,
lie about I wasn't lying about my
you gotta pump
commitments.
the hype a little.
You're right. We're in pre-production right now. We start rehearsals in 2 days, and then we do 2 days rehearsals and 2 days of shooting. We're doing like a kids TV pilot
Oh, nice.
called Zoo Street. It's with this company that I used to work with in a theatrical capacity. I would direct their Christmas musical, and then they got an investment to turn their touring zoo show with it teaches about obviously the animals of the zoo, and then also just like life lessons like teamwork and body positivity and stuff like that. And so we're turning it into like a 7-minute kids pilot. So we've built the set, we've got the puppets, we're gonna do our damnedest. But yeah, that's so we shoot on that in 2 days from recording.
Okay,
But
so I was gonna say you're not working with actual animals, it's just puppets, right? Because I was gonna be like, are
no,
you like wrangling a bunch of like animals?
no, I can't imagine. That would be that's maybe my producing nightmare is that getting actual animals in a movie, let alone zoo animals.
I can only imagine. I've worked with dogs once or twice on screen, and even that, it seems like everybody's on high alert and just like, watch the dog, make sure the dog's good.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. There's a whole separate position. My partner's actually done some horse wrangling, which is I guess a little bit different, but yeah, wow. No way.
We had those for anyone that's seen I'm Haunted 3, there was the cats in it. And people are like, "Oh my God, how did you get the cats to act like that?" It's like we didn't. We just let them run free and they just happened to do some cool stuff that looked like it was staged, so we put that in the movie and then it looks like they're acting.
We just
You know,
recorded those cats for 45 minutes and used 3 seconds of it.
that's what I think about every time I see a cat in a movie. I just watched Nosferatu for the new one
Oh
recently,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
very prominent. Have you seen it, Griffin?
I have.
There's that scene with the cat where it comes and it's Willem Dafoe loves this cat, but I'm always like, did they just let the cat loose on set and then Willem Dafoe just like picked it up when he wanted to, or was this like a stunt cat? Was this a directed cat?
Yeah, I always think about like that old. I don't know, not I guess kind of old now. 2000, like I think it was like 2004, like cats and dogs, cats versus
Oh, yeah,
dogs,
yeah.
Yes.
where the only way that they could do that was have the cat and or dog looking at least around the camera the whole time. So does that mean the wrangler was like holding a treat right beside the lens for the whole movie for all the pets? Like what a nightmare.
Oh man, I made a short film. I made two short films with my cat, and even that, yeah, I went through like a bag of treats for the two like
Yeah,
1 minute
of
long
course.
shorts. I can't imagine.
The
Eventually they
pets
lose interest too.
pets love making movies because it's 24-hour treat time.
So what?
Uh,
How I was trying to think back. When did we first work together, Griffin?
I was thinking about that too. I for some reason, K Thanks Bye is in my brain, but there was something before that I do not remember.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we knew you by that. I know like the Hive, but that was after K Things By.
Yeah.
Because like you weren't in Mental Case, right? You weren't in any of those.
No, I wasn't. No. That was before. I'm just gonna look. Why?
Because yeah, I was
Why can't
thinking
we?
that too. Because like I'm pretty sure we cast you as the lead male in K Things By because I already knew you, but I couldn't.
Right. We did know each other before K Thanks Bye.
Well, we did the
Man.
we did that pitch for my paranormal girlfriend that never got picked up.
Oh
But
yeah, that's right. Me and
we never
Skylar. Yeah, yeah.
shot that. We just did like a photo shoot.
Wow. Interesting. The most recent thing that's on my IMDb currently is K Thanks Bye. But we have met. Maybe it was Paranormal Girlfriend. Did I submit for that?
I think we did. I think we just started talking on Facebook, so we knew each other, and it's like we should do something together. And then we tried that one, and then it never happened. But somehow we like I guess we talked a lot, so I don't know. It just seemed like we knew each other better. But yeah, maybe Kate Things By was the first thing you acted in. That's weird. Like I
Yeah.
swear you were in like three things before that.
Well, that's nice. I did enough acting in that film to get 3 movies worth of
It's
memorization.
ubiquitous enough that you're just everywhere at all
That's
times.
right.
It's just always been Griffin.
Because now I'm just going down your resume. This is not good podcast material as IMDb on tape. But I'm still see. I didn't even like. Oh, maybe we knew each other from Super Dry Cleaners. I didn't do Super Dry Cleaners, but I loved it and I submitted for it. And then I couldn't do it because of some scheduling thing. Maybe that's when we added each other.
What
That,
was
that could
Super
very well
Dry
be.
Cleaners? I'm intrigued.
Super
That's
Dry
quite the
Cleaners was a Bar Briggs directed, I think Telus original series. Skylar was in that one as well, and it was kids who who worked at a dry cleaners
Yeah,
and got
these
superhero costumes.
it's like a brother and sister, like high school age brother and sister. They work at their grandma's dry cleaning place, but it secretly operates. They do the dry cleaning and tailoring for superheroes. So the brother and sister,
Sweet.
they dream of being superheroes. So they basically steal the superheroes' costumes at night and they go out pretending to be superheroes. Something happens in the first episode where something happens to them, and whichever costume they put on, they get that hero's superpowers. So they go and they start putting on these different costumes, and all of a sudden they can fly or
Yeah, yeah.
do all
I
sorts of
see
stuff.
it now. I've found it on the
It
IMDb
is
now. I'm
it is
scrolling.
very cow and chicken actually. And you know what? I think I'm wrong. I think it was even before that. I'm pretty sure that I submitted for Stoner Kid.
Oh my God, yeah, the
I
animated.
think I submitted a voice audition for Stoner Kid is maybe where we very, very, very first added each
Like,
other.
I don't even remember auditioning for that, but
Me neither. I don't remember anything about it.
What was
Yeah.
Stoner Kid? Brandon, what was Stoner Kid?
It's just like it's exactly what it sounds like. It's my character Stoner Kid is like a little
You just got
cartoon.
Griffin high and filmed him.
Oh man, there's ghosts everywhere.
We made 2 episodes of it. So yeah, Griffin, so the Hive, you were part of the Hive, which was it was supposed to be the first part of like a two episodes or something. It was like a two
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
and it actually turned out I think it's my most popular like YouTube film. Even
Really?
today, it's still
Really?
getting lots of attention. Like it still gets me. I probably like 1 or 2 subscribers per day, like on YouTube. It's
Per day?
yeah, it's like it's definitely it gets me a lot of attention. Like it's got me so many fans that have come, and then they watch all the rest of my stuff. But it's kind of like I see it. It's like the peak of
The
what we did, which
gateway.
is funny because like I was a hired gun on that. My buddy Jeremy Whiteford was the one that created it, and he
Yeah.
funded it, and I saw it as like a gig that I took. I didn't think much of it, but it turned out to be popular. People are still bugging me to do a sequel, and I was like, man, like it's that
But that
building's been renovated, everyone's moved on, like
Is that building gone?
I think it's been renovated, so it like it's doesn't
No.
look different, and
That office space became such a staple of the Edmonton film
It did,
community.
yeah, I know.
I filmed so much stuff there.
yeah, it's one of those things like yeah, as soon as someone in Edmonton finds a cool location, all of a sudden it's like everyone else films there.
We all use
Yeah.
it. Well, the Hive was a short that he was going to try and turn into a feature length. Is that right?
Yeah, like I remember it was right during, it was like a week before COVID hit. It was right around that time I met with Jeremy and we started working on the story for part 2. And then COVID lockdown happened. So we're like, oh, we'll wait till this is over. And of course, that just kept going and going and going. And eventually Jeremy moved out to a farm and basically disappeared off the face of the earth. He's not on social media anymore. And he's just like, yeah, I'm not interested. Where
Wow.
people are like, well, man, like Brandon, you could like write the second one. And I was like, yeah, but it's really not my project. And I don't have the passion for it. Like, I'd rather write something else
Sure.
than that one. And, it's like, I understand that people are fans and they want to see what happened, but it's been what, like 5 years. So like, you and Elizabeth are older.
Yeah.
You moved away it would just take a lot it's like, I just don't have the energy to do it.
Right. Yeah, fair
I
enough.
think I had to explain because so many people were asking in the comments section on YouTube. So I was like, here's a statement of why it's not happening.
I'm addressing the union. No, nation.
There will be no more questions about the Hive.
I will not tolerate.
I forgot to pin the statement though, so it's somewhere like in a reply.
Oh.
So I gotta like find it or redo it just so people stop asking. But I mean, I love that the people love it so much because I mean, it was still very low budget for what we were working with, but it must have struck a chord with people and they responded to the story and the characters.
There is some kind of magic to getting indie film on, like working well on YouTube, especially indie shorts. Like obviously when you do Vimeo, you're looking at like staff picks and that's good stuff, but usually those are plucked from like large festival laurels, right? That's plucked from a Sundance or a San Francisco or a whatever, right? But yeah, I mean you see a lot of those like horror TikTokers that'll sometimes go through like six like really cool short indie horror films. And of course, horror is obviously a big genre, but yeah, it is interesting to see YouTube kind of move over to like AVOD because they were the first AVOD and like they adjusted their ad spend from when they were first founded and then they tanked it and now they're kind of bringing it back because Tubi became a thing. Like it is interesting to see because man, if you talk about oversaturation of streaming platforms, the most oversaturated one is YouTube. So who knows?
But it is like
It's wild.
by
And yet,
far the
like,
biggest. Like it's
Yeah,
like
totally.
I have my films elsewhere, and they'll make $3 a month on some other platform. Whereas YouTube, that's the one's getting all the views, and it actually has not a lot, but I do have some money coming in that it's able to keep me going.
Sure.
So it's almost like YouTube is way bigger than all the others
well,
combined.
it's wild how much the barrier to entry for YouTube is pretty much non-existent. I've seen videos that like by no conscious of the imagination should you have recorded this and uploaded it and put it anywhere, but here it is on YouTube. And that leads to such like creative entry because all you need is a cell phone and cell phone cameras at this point that like everything shoots 4K.
Yeah.
So like whatever pops into your brain, you can film and you can put it up there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, it's totally. Like, I remember I keep seeing a whole bunch of oh man, like influencer dude bros on TikTok talking about like a second income of just making like AI voiced things, and half the screen is like whatever Subway Surfer, or Temple Run, or whatever. You just go,
Yeah.
oh no, like that's a side hustle. Holy crap! Yeah, that's it bums me out.
I hope that's just like a phase because it's novel. Because even now, like it seems like all the reels and the shorts you see are just crappy AI stuff. It's kind of pissing me off. I just don't want to get to a point where it's like that's all YouTube is just random insanity. It's
Yeah,
like
I
film
mean,
should be an art form.
well, for sure, and there's going to be certain adaptations, right? Like there was a company here who got hired by a Chinese company to make like a TikTok movie, like shot it in vertical with like very corporate lighting and like super like sectioned off. Each scene is whatever the TikTok limit is. Like it was made to be viewed on TikTok. Or there's one of the distributors I work with sometimes sells movies to these companies that distribute on TikTok. So they will edit up the movie for you into 2.5. I don't know what the TikTok time limit is, but whatever it is, they'll like chop it up like that, which is kind of fine. It's almost what Quibi was, right? Quibi was shooting for stuff that was
Tried
just
to
in.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh man.
Honestly, bless up to Quibi. I gotta. It's whenever you take a crack at innovation, that kind
power.
of stuff is cool. Yeah, totally, man. Quibi was a martyr. Quibi walked so TikTok could run. How about that?
Yeah.
I was hoping that Quibi would take off because I do want to see what can be done with the vertical like medium because I mean it doesn't lend itself to a theater viewing experience, but
No.
in a personal viewing experience on my phone, I wonder what can be done with it. What kind of narrative? Because right now nothing. I don't think I really see besides Quibi. I don't think I've seen like a narrative thing take place in vertical videos. I just wonder what that would look like.
Well, I mean, and people in the business have like read a lot and written about why Quibi failed. I think part of it is I would have loved to see some of the productions like use the fact that the phone can go from vertical to horizontal, like if you switch as you're getting out of a car, the perspective switches or something like that. But the biggest thing is that when the reason Quibi failed and TikTok rules is that TikTok's in like bite-sized chunks, where if you're watching a Quibi series that's even like I would say 10 minutes an episode, the problem is when you're watching something on your phone, don't usually have like 45 minutes. You know what I mean? You're on the bus somewhere or something. So bite-sized stuff performs better than like when we were talking to an African distributor about our series Abracadevers. And when we originally made it, it was 10-minute series, 8 by 10, and then we re-edited it into 4 by 22. But when we were talking to this African distributor, they were like, no, the 8 by 10 is better. Like our demographic is people who are on the bus going to work, who just need something to glaze over and then they go to work. And I was like, that's interesting, man. Which is why you run into problems where like sometimes films feel too long. And of course, that's probably a big whole macro issue of like where our attention spans are at right now as a populace. But yeah,
Well, it comes down to like everything. It's this pervasive thing that's touching everything. Like you guys said, the side hustle of the AI,
oh man,
YouTube Shorts or TikTok, where like everything is generated by AI. Or like, I noticed a trend recently in music where like there's less albums and more people will put out singles. And if they do put out an album, it's like oversaturated with like 50, 20, 30 songs just because they're just like throw everything in the wall and let's see what hits. Or the fact that some movies are longer or shorter. I was reading an article recently about maybe I think I referenced this last episode, Brandon, about how Netflix is looking to that expository dialogue. They're kind of like encouraging for people to have that expository dialogue in their shows more and more because it's just something people have on the background. So it's easy if you like tune in halfway through and one of the characters is like, "But you're my brother, Bill. You know this," and then you're like, "Ah, I'm caught up."
Oh
It's this
no!
weird pervasive attitude that's coming through where it's just like media exists just to feed like the collective money machine if it's on in the passive background. So it's just like anything it does, we'll just feed it up to the money machine.
Seems like it's the dumbing down of the audience. Like I think like part
Or
of
the
it's like
treating of the dumbing down of the audience, the treating of like the audience are idiots.
it's like I want to make things that are like, I mean, I say this as the writer director of grotesque. I'm not exactly making high art, but I want there to be some sort of substance to it that isn't just like capture eyeballs briefly before the next thing comes along and everyone forgets about it. It's like I just want it to be something that people like, It's like I want it to be something that it has some sort of substance to it, like a movie you remember from the 80s that's still beloved. It's like even if it's a small group of fans, like I want it to have some sort of importance rather than just like consumable crap.
But even in the consumable crap or like the short second, I feel like you can do interesting things. There's ads that have lived on for years just because they did something interesting in the ad and it transcended the product it was in. I think it's the attitude that people approach the media with, where this is just a consumable, disposable thing versus like even this consumable, disposable thing can have artistic value if you just pay attention to what you're doing or like put some intent into what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's still a filmmaking business. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's still supposed to be a business, and it's what I feel like it's what creatives run into all the time. Where there's a certain amount of artistic merit that you can fight for, but it doesn't matter if nobody sees it. Like it doesn't. Then it just becomes who are you making the film for? It's hard to make like a 2.5 hour independent feature film with no star power if no one sees it. Like it's why independent horror and like Hallmark Christmas movies are the most popular independent genre. I mean Hallmark's got their own thing going on, but it's because usually there is a formula that people can kind of hop into at any point. If you turn on a Hallmark movie, you could hop in you could scrub along the bar, hop in at any minute count, and know precisely where they are in the plot. They go, oh, so now she's right here at 45 minutes. She's realized she does like the businessman, and she's going to tell her sister about it, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's
a built-in audience. There's going to be a group of people that, regardless of what the title is, they're going to see whatever new Hallmark or horror movie that comes out just because of the fact that it's one of those.
For sure. And it's also all the thought about, what are they called? Like comfort series, right? Like The Office or How I Met Your Mother, or the ones that you can, like the ones that are repeatable and crunchable and you can just kind of sit and kind of turn. Oh, it's tricky, right? Because like sometimes you want to watch a show and turn your mind off, right? That's the whole point, to be taken, transported somewhere. And then
you lose
sometimes
yourself, like in the narrative.
Yeah. Right. And then sometimes you do want to like work for it, right? You're gonna go see like a high concept A24 or whatever and go, I think I get it. And then whatever, maybe 6 days down the road, you get it and you love it, or you hate it and then you don't love it. But I think it's a balance. I think there needs to be both. It's tricky.
Yeah, you can't discard commercialism entirely, and I'm a person who would love to discard commercialism entirely, but like it's part of I feel like as filmmakers and as people involved with art, it's about exploring the human condition to a certain degree, and commercialism and buying pretty things is part of the human condition. It's what we do. Like it's how we've arranged our society. So I think you can't throw it away entirely and say it has no value. And I think the job is to find the value and present the value forward. Anyways, I may have gotten a little too like
No, I mean because the one thing that it's a fairly new, I mean, or rather the concept of it when you're talking about a granting funding, it's been fairly revamped in that it has more weight in whether or not you get the grant, is like an audience development document, right? Like how do you assure this granting body who's going to give you anywhere from $100,000 to $400,000 that your thing's actually going to be seen, right? Like you need to have like an audience development plan or like a marketing plan or I don't know, a publicist or something. And then you have to go, who is this for? Like demographic information is equally important. No one's going to want to hear like everyone will love it because that's not true. So it's just going to be, yeah, who are you making the movie? Who are you making the movie for? I loved when I would see online where whatever, old 65-year-old white dudes were like really ragging on Barbie and was like, this movie sucks. And part of me, I mean, I really liked the movie, but part of me was like, it wasn't for you, dog. Like, I appreciate it. It's not, you can go to Oppenheimer, rock on. Barbie's not for you. Like, it's just, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and that's I mean, it's one good thing about we have so many more channels now with YouTube and Tubi and everything else. No matter what you make, someone will like it. Like you now have access to everyone in the world, and you might find there's only 150 people in the entire world that like your bizarre thing. But if they're all willing to, buy a copy of it and donate to your Patreon and donate, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you got a little business. I mean, I've been able to make that work in my neck of the woods with making these small movies, but we have this small fan base and it's kind of grown.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to do if this was like 1991. It's just like, well, no, you got to have a big theatrical release, or you could maybe be direct to video. But even those are huge movies. It's just like you wouldn't be able to do it. Like back in there'd be like Night of the Living Dead. There'd be like one per decade that would like sneak through.
Right.
Now we're getting like 1,000 per day of that are like you're able to find some sort of audience. So I kind of like that I don't have to go for like all four quadrants. I can just kind of make whatever I think is amusing, put it out there, and people kind of flock to it. And hey, it's like my project finds an audience instead of me looking for an audience and making something for them. I kind of just made grotesque because it came to my mind, and then hey, we'll see what kind of people watch it. And I don't really care who they are as long as some people watch it. Then hey, we got fans.
It is crazy to think about, like. Whatever. When we're in pre-production for our new series that we're shooting in May and June called Eyes in the Woods, and part of that is we've oh man, I don't know how much I can say about it, but we made a TikTok account that's kind of related to the show, and some of the TikToks went super viral, and some of them are at whatever 300 views or 11,000 views, like it ranges, right? Because that's all algorithm based, and you kind of started thinking, oh man, my video only has 300 views, but then you go, if I was in a room with 300 people and said you're awesome at filmmaking or whatever, that would be the best day of your life. You know what I mean?
That's a movie theater. It's bigger than a movie theater.
Right. Yeah, it is. Because my favorite case example in all of this stuff, like around like marketing data or like audience testing, is the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life. Because when that movie came out, it was panned critically. Like people hated it. Maybe you guys have already talked about this on the show, but it's such an interesting, like, especially since I've learned so much about film distribution, people hated that movie.
It was a bomb.
And so the reason it became so popular is because everyone hated it, so it was cheap to buy and sometimes even free to buy. So every cable channel or broadcast partner would just buy it up and just run it consistently. So then eventually it just became a Christmas staple, and now it's beloved. It's tricky, right? Because all marketing data, as soon as it's collected, is out of date. Because you can only see what was popular.
Yeah.
That's all you'll ever know.
And it's always strange to see what does become popular. Like I've been saying
Yeah.
this for a couple of years and I still might be proven wrong. I think I might be proven right. But I think Westerns are coming back hard. Like I think
Oh
we'll
yes.
see a
Yeah.
period of like long, slow Westerns coming up soon, which I'm excited if that happens. But like it's always weird. And especially if you plot it out, like I don't know how much you've been into this, but like every now and then I'll try and plot out like more music side than like movies, but like this rises and then a reaction to this always comes along and then that thing becomes the popular thing and then eventually another reaction to this comes along and that's
Yeah.
kind of how you get like pop culture building. And I'm sure you could point some sort of similar territory in film being like, well, this kind of film and then a reaction to this.
Well, yeah, and because also, I mean, it's interesting you say that because the main company that I produce with, Numera Films, we got hired by this Italian studio to make like 5 Western feature films. Because their audience, who is mainly on like YouTube and Roku and Tubi, like the AVOD, love Westerns.
Well, the
And
spaghetti Western is an institution.
right. And it's interesting to think about it from people like from being in North America, because that's North America is what's idolized by Westerns, right? Is like the true West. So being here, we don't really get it. It's like Heartland. When you think about Heartland with CBC, you can feel however the way you want about it, but the large majorities of Heartland show is in Asia because they go, oh yeah, cowboys, horses, love that stuff, westerns, because it's like it's in a sense, I guess, foreign to them. I mean, maybe I'm talking out. I've just
exotic thing that we don't think of as exotic here, but like
well, exactly,
100%.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. Which is we're in a bit of a weird flux here because Canada is one of the smallest film markets in terms of like independent film, and the US is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, film market. So we're so close to knowing what the trends are from our southern neighbor, and yet it's so tiny here.
Never hits. The Canadian film has this interesting reputation about it of like it's a Canadian film. It's funny how nobody else is ever like it's a French. Well, I guess they do a French film, but like when you say Canadian film, you kind of know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's true. And really, if you look at it, I think every region has that, right? If you look at a UK, maybe not Australia, I don't know but like if you look at like a UK film, you'll be like, a Brit film or whatever. Like it is, yeah, it's true.
You know, Australia, you can tell an Australian film by their accents, but other than that, like, they don't like their look of their films. I find they don't really look like an Australian. It just looks like an American film, but with Australian people.
Just unrepentant alcoholism in all of the movies. Every
Yeah.
Australian movie I've seen is just like, and now we're drinking.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the image of what a Canadian film looks like, but my favorite one that's ever gone at least semi-famous is Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
What a bonkers flick for the world to latch onto. That's an insane movie.
You know, that's kind of like it's not a trauma movie, but it's kind of in that realm where they
In that
Yeah, totally.
they throw
Speaking
caution to
of,
the
yeah.
wind and it's like just make the craziest, wackiest shit they possibly can. You know, it's
Yeah.
Well, like
Well,
Griffin said too, they make their films cheaper than air so that it's easy to sell. Like just because it's like it cost us $2,000 to make it. What do you want to buy for it for?
yeah, that's if I had to guess, and I don't really know anything about anything, I'm only basing this off of like the conversations we like when we go to markets and we talk about projects and budgets based on the feedback we get. Like low budget features are going to be a huge thing, like which you kind of started to see from like in the decline of the Marvel universe, where you just get like oversaturated by stuff. Like, and it's why stuff like Elevation and A24, which I know are like sister companies, but though that style of filmmaking is I think people are starting to appreciate
I
a
think
bit more of like,
the studio might be reaching its peak and might be actually on the other end of its peak. I'm not
Could be.
sure.
yeah.
But like you said, marketing, as soon as it's here, it's out of date.
Yeah, it's true. How do we know?
Oh man, we're gonna have to get you in for a second podcast because I did want to go through. I was gonna mention I didn't really know your full history and how you got.
we didn't even get to talk about Abracadevers, which is like
Who cares? Who cares? Whatever. None of that shit matters.
On Give and Take as an actor, and that's the first time I met you. But like before then, I didn't realize that you had known Brandon before K Thanks Bye and all that. So I wanted to get into that. I've seen Numerica doing a lot of different things. Like Brandon said, Abracadevers. You guys are producing so much, and it's probably so exciting to be in basically in the center of all that. I imagine.
Yeah, it is cool. I think you I run into the same thing that a lot of creatives do, not even just filmmakers, but like actors, writers, poets, painters, is you run into a bit of like a comparison problem. Like you're always like there's always more you could be doing or bigger things, and I think I'm getting better at just like appreciating where we're at. This is the huge boon we have with Numera is that the crew on Numera has been friends since like years, like even before me. They were buddies in high school, and making stuff with your friends, I'm sure as you two know, it makes a lot of the hard parts of this business a lot easier to do. So that's probably the best part about like working with Numera.
That's a
Let's wrap it up.
That's a good note as any to end it on. Working with your friends is the best time.
All right, thanks for being on the show, Griffin, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry if I rambled.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I appreciate the rambling.
All right, bye for now.